Viewers, the world woke up to searing images of human suffering and cruelty today. The grotesque aftermath of a missile strike, you can see those pictures to the left of your screens. Hundreds of bodies charred beyond recognition lay strewn around the lip of a yawning crater where once a multi-storied hospital stood in the heart of Gaza. The Israelis say it wasn't one of their rockets that did the damage. Military spokespersons in Tel Aviv pointed to alleged video evidence to blame the ghastly bombing on a stray missile fired by Hamas cohort Islamic Jihad. The Hamas and its friendly sponsors in the capitals of various Arab nations rejected what they called Israeli propaganda. Many Arab states have officially slammed Israel for a dastardly war crime. In their words, not mine. Listen in.
The Israeli spokesperson of the army about a week ago made a statement in which he said, evacuate the hospitals are target, and in fact they hit one hospital a week ago. So their intentions is evacuate or hospitals will be hit, and they are responsible for that crime and they cannot fabricate stories to deal with it.
We confirm that there was no IDF fire by land, sea or air that hit the hospital. Second, our radar system tracked rockets fired by terrorists from within Gaza at the time of the explosion. Third, we have intelligence, some that will be shared here, of communication between terrorists talking about rockets misfiring. The terrorists realized that the rocket has misfired and made specific reference to the al-ahli al-Madani hospital.
Explosion at the hospital in Gaza yesterday. And based on what I've seen, it appears as though it was done by the other team, not you. But there's a lot of people out there who are not sure. So we've got to overcome a lot of things.
And just as the civilized world united to defeat the Nazis and united to defeat ISIS, the civilized world must unite to defeat Hamas. I can assure you, Mr. President, Israel is united to defeat Hamas. And we will defeat Hamas and remove this terrible threat from our lives.
Between the two sides, the truth is caught in the crossfire. Only US President Joe Biden, as you just heard, has given Israel a clean chit, agreeing that the rocket didn't belong to the Israeli Defense Forces, but was aimed at Israel by jihadists and somehow lost its way. In any event, it was only a matter of time before the media would have been called upon to write the chronicle of a massacre foretold. Gaza is the world's most densely populated geography, viewers. In the face of Israel's blitzkrieg aimed at eliminating Hamas, there was bound to be collateral damage in the form of lives. In this wedge of a wasteland of human suffering, much of the pain is self-inflicted. At least that's what a number of people say. It does seem particularly callous and calculating to be indicting ordinary Palestinians on a day when they have suffered unimaginably. But the truth is, Palestinians have allowed themselves to become props in someone else's depraved war, viewers. A war they voted for a decade and a half back when they elected Hamas in 2007 to determine their destiny. Didn't they know then that Hamas was dedicated to the complete annihilation of Israel? Of course they did, because the Hamas plastered this hateful objective on the preamble of its charter of governance that reads rather balefully, and I quote, Israel will exist and will continue to exist until Islam invalidates it, just as it invalidated others before it, unquote. Now, did Palestinians think that Israelis would sit by and quietly watch as Hamas implemented its genocidal agenda? The Abrahamic tradition, don't forget viewers, mandates revenge through the invocation, eye for an eye. And that's what we're seeing. However, the Israeli action, according to the Israeli state, is against only and only Hamas, not innocent Palestinians. If electing a terror group wasn't bad enough, Palestinians have also never condemned excesses committed by Hamas upon innocent Israeli citizens. If anything, they have allowed Hamas to enlist them in various stratagems to murder Israelis. Many say Palestinians don't have a choice that since its election, the Hamas has metamorphosed into a tyrannical organization that cruelly crushes dissent, and that under the circumstances, dissenting Gazans would have stood no choice. But even after October 7, when the Hamas bled innocents in Israel and the organization has been on the run, Palestinians have chosen to provide them cover, viewers. They're living alongside the Hamas military, serving as human shields. What stops them from accepting Israel's appeals to move to safe zones, to give up Hamas terrorists, or even identify locations where hostages are being held? We don't know. I can't guess. I'm not in their minds. But what we do know is that it is profoundly diabolic for a people to put a gun to their own heads and expect to negotiate a just solution. And it is just as diabolic on part of Arab friends of Palestine to be shedding tears for their embattled brethren. History tells us that these Middle Eastern powers have persecuted Palestinians. We're not entirely abandoning them. Viewers, here are the hard facts, and as always, I put out the hard facts to bring you really close to the truth so that you can cut through the propaganda. Egypt, look at Egypt. It is warning Israel against taking disproportionate action, viewers. But it's reluctant to welcome fleeing Gazans. The Rafah border has been sealed for refugees and aid. And this is not just today, it has been happening for a decade. Look at Qatar. It condemns Israel for quashing the rights of Palestinians. But in 1995, it opened trade ties. Yes, viewers, trade ties with Israel. It gives Hamas funds for operations in Gaza. And what do those funds, viewers, end up doing? They end up legitimizing Hamas and dictators like Haniyeh, who go out there and suppress Palestinians and entrench themselves further. To do what, viewers? To spread Israelophobia. Look at Saudi Arabia. It leads the global condemnation of the hospital attack. But it itself was on the brink of establishing diplomatic ties with Israel. Saudi Arabia, for example, has banned imams in mosques from praying for Palestinians. In 2014, the kingdom's Grand Mufti, Abdul Aziz al-Sheikh, reportedly claimed that pro-Palestinian demonstrations were just demagogic actions. Can you believe it, viewers? And they are shedding today tears, crocodile tears, by the buckets for Palestinians in Gaza. From 2012, Syrian dictator Assad's security forces have repeatedly bombed, starved and besieged Sunni Palestinian refugees living on the outskirts of Damascus, the capital of Syria. Viewers, Qatar shelters the Hamas leadership, as I told you. Lebanon, Hezbollah, that is based out of Lebanon, praised Hamas terror attacks. But look at the hypocrisy. 400,000 Palestinians live in camps in abject conditions. Viewers, they are not allowed to work. They are barred from the public sector, from using state medical and education facilities and even buying property. Viewers, let me tell you and let me be honest tonight, as I always am, direct up front with the hard facts. Palestinians need to rise against injustice. They need to dump the Hamas before the Hamas turns them all into props in a propaganda war and before it is too late.